Today I'm going to show you how to load a Hasselblad 1000F. When I first got this camera, I had some trouble finding somebody online to explain everything. There were a couple videos out there, but they were all for other cameras, and I know it's more or less the same, but I kind of want to make one just for this camera, even though it's pretty much the same. Because a lot of the backs for the Hasselblads are pretty much the same for the different cameras. Some of them have some different mounts and stuff, but the 1600F, the 1000F, they're pretty much all the same. So today I have some Ilford, well, HP 5 Plus 400. I don't like to shoot color that much with this camera. I did get it CLA'd, so the exposures are pretty accurate, but I still just prefer to shoot black and white. It's my computer. Most people, when they see me with this camera, they just assume I'm shooting black and white anyways, because it's correct for the time period when this was made. The 1000F was made in the late 40s, like 46. Okay, so first thing you do, as you saw me, was detach the back, which it comes off with this little button here on the top. This is the dark slide right here. One tip, if you look at the dark slide, you'll see that there's an edge on it. Try to keep that facing towards the front of the camera. It just makes taking this part in and out a lot easier. So now what you're going to do is twist this, carefully pull that out. There should be a roll left from your last roll of film. So just take this, go like that, switch it to this one. There we go. So now that'll take up this. Move this off to the side here, so I have some room to work. Okay. So now, how I like to do it is I open up my roll of film. The HP 5 is nice. I shoot a lot of Tri-X too. I actually kind of prefer it. But the HP 5 has a nice grain to it. So it depends on what look you're looking for. Okay, so that's open now. Now, you got to make sure that you actually put the film in the right way. This is what's going to be exposed, so you don't want the back to be facing this side, because otherwise you'll just be exposing the back of the film, and that won't do you any good. So, pop it in like this, and you can see, as I pull this over, it's black. That's what you want. Now, there are these two little flaps right here, I guess you could call it. If you twist this, they will go up. And you want to run the film underneath those, and that will help keep the film even with this plane so that you actually get the correct focus on the film. Then there's a little slot in your reel right here. You want to stick the tongue of the film through that slot and kind of twist this up so that the tongue comes around. I prefer to grab the tongue to roll it over a little bit more because it doesn't like to stay all the time. There we go. Now you can grab this and twist. Oh, and now see that does happen. Sometimes it'll pop out. You kind of, well, you'll get better at it the more you do it. The film tension that's on the reel is important as far as where it lines up, but it's not that important. As long as it's kind of tight, you'll be fine. There we go. Oh, I had it that time. There it goes. Okay, so now on some of the other Hasselblads, this arrow would have to line up with something, but on these cameras there's nothing for the arrow to line up with, So you just sort of twist it around so it's like that. And the reason it doesn't matter is because when you actually get this back in and on the camera, you have to manually wind it to the first shot anyways, using the little flap on the back, which I'll show you in a second once I get this in. This can be a little fidgety sometimes. There it goes. And twist that, you just want to twist that back in to lock it, and that should snap back down. Now, when you go to put the back on the camera, don't just snap it in. Push the button over, set it down on the tabs, and then push it in. You want to be very careful with these cameras. They're quite fidgety. So you can see if I flip that down, inside there is going to be the back of the film, and it will have numbers on it depending on what shot you're on. So you take this flips up, and you just start winding. I'll try and do it so that you can see it and I can see it. There. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but there should be like symbols. It's different depending on the film. You gotta wind it quite a way. So there are some of the arrows in there. You can kind of see them going by probably. And then with the Ilford, there we go. You'll see these little circles. I don't know how well that'll show up on film, but there are these little circles, and they get bigger and darker the closer you get to the actual first shot until you get the number 1. So I don't know how well you'll be able to see that in there, but it does say number 1. So now you're on the first shot, and you just take this and you go the other direction with it, and this will turn white, and you'll get number 1 on your frame counter. So there it is. You're pretty much ready to shoot. All you'll have to do is pull out the dark slide, and you're ready to go. One thing to note is that on these cameras, just because it has this door, if you look in there while you're shooting and it doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily going to say what shot you're on because of the tension on the film. I mentioned it makes a difference. You're fine as long as it's calibrated properly. When you advance to the next roll, it's going to keep the frame spacing fine. If you're getting overlapping frames, then maybe it's time for a CLA. Just, you don't need to manually adjust your film spacing because you're never going to get it as accurate as this is. Alright, well, I hope that helps somebody, or, yeah, I mean, I'd be happy if it helps one person. I love using these cameras, and keep shooting film.